Reaching out on the Informer to catch up with the Lord Mayor of the City of Melbourne, Sally Capp, who joins us now. Sally, welcome back.
Thanks, George.
You've had a report commissioned. It was something that you reached out to PricewaterhouseCoopers and you said to them, we need your assistance, we need your professional acumen. And what was the strategy behind it initially?
Well, we thought it was really important to establish with evidence and data what was the economic impact on the City of Melbourne as a result of the COVID pandemic. Pre-COVID, we'd just clicked over a record $104 billion gross local product, and as one of the fastest growing cities in the world, and certainly the fastest growing in Australia, we knew what sort of trajectory we were on. We wanted to understand what is the impact on our city economy, and that gives us a base case to really work on the reactivation and recovery.
The fearful hit that COVID has applied on the city, it's put on not only brakes but air brakes and every other area of impedance you can imagine. I'm listening to people talking to me from all walks of life, telling us about how they're trying to live in a city and it's unrecognisable from the one they were living in 4, 5, 6 months ago. It must be tough for you to be walking into the city every day and also looking around you to all the indicators that tell you that the city is bereft of people and bereft of business.
Exactly. It is heartbreaking. We know that our foot traffic is down 90% year on year, and we're reliant on that daily foot traffic to really drive this city economy. The capital city economy is 24% of the state's GSP normally, and a major contributor to the national GDP. And yet here we are in Melbourne, where we're so used to be able to drop into the MCG to watch a game of footy, to stop at the State Theatre to see a show, to go to our favourite cafe and grab a coffee, or of course the wonderful retail therapy through our laneways. And all of that has come to a halt as a result of COVID. We know that we need our Melbourne to be alive again if we're going to see a national, state and local recovery. And that's why we're really using this report as a way of urgently calling to federal and state governments to work with us on the reactivation of this important economy and a city that we all love and admire.
Stimulus packages, I can hear those words resonating from this report. In what fashion are they likely to be distributed? How will those stimulus packages look?
Yes, well, look, there are a number of ways in which we are engaging with federal and state government at the moment. Of course, with local government, we have done everything we can, including $50 million in support packages and programs. We've got a recovery budget underway at the moment where we're going into a deficit for the first time in 30 years. And we really need our fair share, I would say more than our fair share of resources, attention and moral support as well from federal and state governments. It comes in many forms, particularly at state government. We're looking at capital stimulus projects that can give a boost to jobs and help us complete legacy projects that will have benefits for our community and economy for decades to come. With state government, we are more closely talking about that immediate financial assistance for small business owners in particular, where it's difficult for them to survive when we're going through prolonged lockdown. And then longer term with state government, it is a joint investment in that reactivation and reopening of our city. It's going to take a massive effort to make sure that people feel safe and reassured to come into the city, to provide events and festivals and work with our cultural and sporting partners to make sure that there are attractions, and then of course support our retail and hospitality to to be able to welcome as many customers as possible.
Now, I know that the AFL Grand Final brings a tremendous amount of goodwill and fortune to the city and to the surrounding city areas, because people come from everywhere to watch one of the biggest games of the year. But we've lost that now to, it appears at this stage, Brisbane, unless of course the situation there changes, and then the next option is Adelaide. That is a tremendous amount of money that you're not going to get. How do you prepare for that? How do you prepare for that?
Oh, well, look, it was devastating to lose it, but we completely understand why. That weekend, that grand final weekend, was worth about $67 million to the city economy.
Wow.
And of course, we're devastated that we won't be able to host it this year. We are encouraged, though, of course, by the fact that the foundations that have been put in place that makes Melbourne such a world-renowned city for being able to host events like that hasn't changed. It will be so difficult for anybody to replicate the sort of sporting precinct infrastructure we have, arts precinct infrastructure we have, all of the wonderful characteristics of this city that make us so special. And so it's why the pace and the strength of the reactivation of bringing people back and reminding them that we have a formidable offer in this city. We just need to make sure that when it's COVID safe, we can really kickstart and push forward again. That's the focus that we have at the moment.
Now, the Premier last week made an announcement regarding an escape from lockdown. It was supposed to be a road to recovery. A lot of people really disappointed with some of the messaging that came out. Are we still going to see the Spring Racing Carnival as we imagine it, or are we still waiting to hear whether we'll meet certain targets before the doors open and we see people back in Melbourne?
Well, look, really, since the time that this pandemic hit Melbourne, it's a 1 in 100 year event. There is no rule book for all of these events, including our own major events like Fashion Festival and Music Week, Christmas program. We've been working on scenarios that we've had to be nimble and responsive as the situation has evolved. And we'll continue to do that because the aim is to make sure that we can welcome people back when it's safe to do so. There's a lot of content that can go online. And of course, the biggest audience for the Spring Racing Carnival was actually through the television broadcasts around the world, and that will still happen. We want to return to the Melbourne that we know and love, where people come together to have fun, to be productive, to be creative and innovative. And we're just going to have to continue to work through those gates to get to the point where we know we can welcome people back safely. We are looking for some flexibility in what that reopening looks like, and we'll continue to have those discussions on behalf of our business owners, particularly with the state government.
Look, I hope some of those business owners can hold on, because from the amount of talk that we've had over the last couple of months, there are people not only on their knees, but they are breathing the fumes, and I don't know how many of them are going to come back. That's the great disappointment, because I understand it's about turning the door, or opening the door and turning the wheel back on, but you want people to still be able to survive what has been a real trauma.
It is heartbreaking, and you know, of course, most of my day is spent talking to small business owners and members of their teams, looking at solutions and really being accessible and available to them so that we can work through their situations. We know from our own surveys here at the City of Melbourne that there are already, for example, a number of hospitality businesses that have decided they won't reopen.
Ouch.
And we have to be for that. But of course, the immediate attention has to be on helping as many businesses as possible survive. Because I agree with you, when we say it's safe for the city to reopen again, we need the doors of all of those businesses to be able to open, and the teams to be able to welcome as many customers and patrons back. And so, look, I can't understate how much this is an all-in effort, and we keep looking to different industries or levels of government for certain things. It's going to be a combined, concerted effort. if we're going to respond and recover from this in the best way that we can.
All right. Fingers crossed. Thank you very much for joining us on The Informer. Sally Capp,
Thanks
the
for
Lord
having
Mayor
me.
of the City of Melbourne.